All right, man, peace. So as I've told you brothers already, it was only a matter of time before LeBron James and his team decided that they were going to take attention off of their own failures this season by turning the spotlight on Magic Johnson. That is just how LeBron James operates. He does not believe in culpability or accountability for himself. The only thing that he's concerned with is brand building. And whoever he needs to throw under the bus, that is who he's going to throw under the bus. So now they have initiated phase 2 of Operation Redeem LeBron to the LA area. And the number one sacrifice is going to be Magic Johnson. If Magic and Rob Pelinka are unable to attain another high-profile free agent this offseason, look for LeBron James to possibly demand a trade. But more likely than not, before he would demand a trade, he may start to leak little information out there through some of his plans in the media that it's time for Magic Johnson to be fired, because he knows that going into next season with no improvement in the roster, they're probably not going to make the playoffs again, and it's going to look even worse on him. So better Magic goes than have his own tenure in LA be marred by failure after failure, season after season. One of the main plants that LeBron James has in the NBA super liberal sports media is Mr. Dave McMenamin, a journalist who followed LeBron around in Cleveland. Now, of course, he's been transplanted out to LA to follow LeBron James around in LA. Recently, he's written an article basically detailing the Lakers' quote-unquote failures in LeBron James's first season with the franchise. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
It's been a tough year for LeBron in Los Angeles, but are the Lakers to blame for the problems? Meaning, ESPN's David Miniman has an article on ESPN.com that details how the Lakers wasted year one for LeBron.
I'm trying to figure out how the Lakers could possibly have wasted year one with LeBron James when he already knew what the roster was going to be before he decided to sign with them. He already knew that. As a matter of fact, he thought that he knew what the roster was going to be because he and Rich Paul had already programmed into the mind of Anthony Davis that he was going to demand a trade prior to this season. That's really what LeBron James is still mad about.
Highlighting problems going back to decisions made by Magic Johnson and others in 2017. So considering all of these moves that this article lays out over the years leading up and into bringing in LeBron James, Max, do you think Magic gets a pass for this season?
Yes, Magic will get a pass for this season, but not this offseason. Definitely not this offseason, and certainly not next season. He better sign a major free agent in this offseason. If Magic has to send that free agent a few dollars under the table from some of those Starbucks franchises, he better think about doing that. Because if not, matter of fact, Magic might just step down. Don't be shocked to see Magic step down, especially if things get frustratingly overbearing behind the scenes, because from what I understand, Magic Johnson does not have the best rapport with Rob Pelinka. And we know that Rob Pelinka is a Kobe Bryant guy. So who knows what might happen. Magic just might get voted off the island.
I think he does. I think Magic does. Look, the big thing Magic had to do was sign LeBron James. He did that.
Right, but did Magic really sign LeBron James, or did LeBron James sign the Lakers to LeBron James Incorporated?
Now, Dave McMenamin did an excellent job here kind of outlining the nuanced and subtle ways that Magic and Pelinka screwed this up.
Well, I would be more impressed if Dave McMenamin highlighted in nuanced and subtle ways the way in which LeBron James incrementally and systematically broke down the morale of his own team.
And with respect to Paul George, those are the kind of things that I've noticed in executives, and you can think about your own job or people you know in positions that went on to great things, but early on made some mistakes. And
nothing against Magic Johnson. He's just not front office material. His brain does not function on that level like a Jerry West. Jerry West is gifted in that way. He was born to be a front office guy. Magic Johnson was not born to be a front office guy. Of course, he knows the game of basketball inside and out. He can tell you what the opposing team is going to run defensively. He can tell you what both teams are running offensively. Just sitting from his perch at home or in the front row of a game, he can tell you all that. But can Magic Johnson tell you what player is going to fit in with what team? No, he can't do that. And that's why he's never been a good analyst. Whether it was when he was working alongside Marv Albert and Mike Fratello, or when they tried to force him onto the TNT crew with Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith. Magic has never fit in any environment where he was expected to be able to evaluate and assess talent and how it fit in. He's just not good at that.
And it's not like Magic made a huge glaring mistake here. McMenamin outlines the idea or what happened with D'Angelo Russell, the right kind of guard for this league. But there were some locker room issues, recall.
Right, D'Angelo Russell had to go.
And they had to get out of this Mozgov contract, which was a killer if you want to sign multiple max contract players.
And beyond that, D'Angelo Russell would not have fit in well with LeBron James because he's not a good defender. And he's also not someone who LeBron James would have been able to count on to break down his defender one-on-one and give him 25, 30 points when he needed it, at least not at that time period. He's starting to emerge into that guy, but he's emerging as the lead offensive component or the quote-unquote alpha on his team, the Brooklyn Nets. He would not have been allowed to develop into that with the Lakers.
Which was not a bad plan. In order to do it, they had to use D'Angelo Russell. Unfortunately, that's how bad a job Mitch Kupchak and Jim Buss especially did in signing Mozgov to that deal, and everyone in LA knew it the moment it happened. What are you doing? So Magic had to get out of it. So he used D'Angelo Russell to get out of the Mozgov deal, got back Brook Lopez with 1 year left on his contract, an expiring contract. He probably should have kept Lopez, plus a draft pick that turned into Kyle Kuzma, and it freed up cap space. Like, that's a good idea. The fact that also this one is represented by someone who knows Paul George's agent and it can turn Paul George off because multiple people are telling them that these moves that Magic is making is being unfair to Julius Randle. He's favoring some Rich Paul client. Yes, those are subtle, kind of nuanced things that Magic can do better at going forward.
In other words, Dave McMenamin has spent the last month and a half trying to nitpick all of Magic Johnson's decisions to make LeBron James look less bad. That's how you know, once again, Dave McMenamin is under the employ of LeBron James Incorporated. Because as we know, as I've already stated, McMenamin followed LeBron James around. I believe that he's from Cleveland, or the Cleveland area per se. He's a huge LeBron James fanboy, much like that other fat boy from Akron. What's his name? Brian Windhorst, who I like, by the way. But Brian Windhorst tries to project himself as someone who is so objective when speaking about LeBron James. He is relatively objective, but he's TV's version of an objective fan because he is a fan of LeBron, as is Dave McMenamin. So once again, Magic Johnson better watch himself, because when you bring LeBron James onto your team, you're bringing in a very talented cancer.
Stephen A., I think of another guy out of Detroit, Emanuel Stewart, the late great boxing trainer and
Well, Magic's not from Detroit, he's from Lansing.
Manager, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, and a former colleague of mine at HBO. Emanuel Stewart, Hall of Fame career, maybe the best trainer ever. He made certain mistakes, even in big fights early in his career.
Certainly did.
Because he was a neophyte. Then he got
even when he wasn't a neophyte.
Some experience, and he corrected those mistakes. The question with Magic is, can he get the big things right? So far, yes. Now the smaller, more nuanced things, he has to learn from his mistakes, and so I give him a pass for year one.
He's going to get a pass for year one, but that's the only year that he's going to get a pass for. Magic is not meticulous. He's not that guy. That's why I didn't doubt it or dispute it when LeVar Ball made his appearance on the Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp show Undisputed and said himself that he does not believe that Magic Johnson is really running that whole operation. He believes that it's being run by someone else. LeVar did not go into detail, but I think that he's talking about Rob Pelinka as well as Rich Paul.
I do not. And that's my brother, and I love him. But I do not give him a pass because certain mistakes that were made are things that I deem relatively inexcusable. You give Kentavious Caldwell-Pope $17 million for 1 year last year.
Right, but we know what that was about, Stephen A. Smith. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a client of Rich Paul.
You come back this year, you give him a 1 year deal for $12 million. And you barely use him, even though he's averaging 23 a game. There were games where he was an absolute no-show. You didn't utilize him. There were games that Lance Stevenson wasn't utilized. Clearly, you misrepresented or misconstrued things because you decided to go the playmaker route as opposed to surrounding LeBron James with shooters. Where every place in his career where he's had success was because he had shooters around him.
Well, Stephen A., why did he go that route? Did Magic Johnson go the playmaker route because he thought that would make the best team for this season? Or did he go the playmaker route because LeBron James advised him that he wanted to play off the ball this year and that he was tired of dominating the basketball? So whose fault is this really?
them. You just
If we're going to blame Magic, we can blame him for listening to LeBron James. When LeBron James is the player, you're supposed to be the general manager. You're supposed to be the one to tell LeBron what's best for him.
You decide to ignore that because you want to bring somebody like Rondo in, the Lance Stevensons and others. Rondo, the money that 1 year, $9 million you gave to him, you could have used to keep Julius Randle, who wanted out because you showed no interest in keeping him. Now he's in New Orleans, and I'll be honest with you, he's balling.
Yes, Julius Randle is balling, but that's more of a reflection on Anthony Davis, that he has all that talent on that team, and he was so dead set on following the game plan that was given to him by LeBron James and Rich Paul that he could not even recognize the multitude of talent that he had on his own team. You're Anthony Davis, and you were widely predicted to be the player who was going to take over the mantle from LeBron James of being that player who was going to carry the NBA for the next 10 years. You won somewhere around 50 games last season. You got out of the first round. You still have Drew Holiday. You have Elfrid Payton. You have Julius Randle. You have Mirotic. And you decided after 20 games, I'm not going to keep playing all out for this team because I want to go to the Lakers to team up with my idol, LeBron James. And you think that someone is supposed to take you seriously as a leader of their franchise? Once again, as Stephen A. Smith just stated, Julius Randle is balling. How come Anthony Davis could not recognize that? Maybe because he had his LeBron James blinders on.
He's incredibly aggressive, which is something that this Lakers franchise has lacked over the, at least this season. We see what he brings to the table. Ivica Zubac, he's a 7-footer. You spent the first 20 or so games not even playing him. You finally insert him into the lineup. He's averaging 17 and 7 for you as a 7-footer. He's only 21 years of age. The Clippers didn't even call to inquire about him. You called them. Not only do you...
That's called the LeBron James virus. We can't wait for young players to develop because we have to bring in as many veterans and open up as much cap space as possible to help LeBron. That was also a panic move. They ran and they rushed to see if they could bring in a long-range shooter right before the trading deadline because they were receiving so much negative press about how they had not brought in any shooters to team up with LeBron James.
Do you shift off this young talent, okay? But you shift them off to a team that's playing in the same building as you, not just the same city. And oh, by the way, what you got in return was Mike Muscala, which was atrocious.
They're desperate.
There is no way around that. So then you got that situation going on, which cannot be ignored. And of course you lost Brook Lopez, and we can forgive that or what have you. Here's the ultimate thing that Magic's going to have to consider. And I don't know whether this is on Magic or this is on Jeannie Buss. I don't like to mention Jeannie Buss because I know Magic Johnson has complete control of basketball operations.
Allegedly.
She controls the business side. She'll support whatever decision he wants to make. But anybody that covers the Lakers out here will tell you, Rob Pelinka has a good relationship with Jeannie Buss.
Ding.
Because he's incredibly tight with Kobe, because that's Kobe's guy. And
so Rob Pelinka is the guy that you have to watch who may be trying to snake Magic Johnson out of his position of authority.
People believe that that's why he's there. I don't have any problems with Rob Pelinka. And I certainly don't have any problems with Magic. But Magic is new to this job. But so is Rob Pelinka. And so you don't have either of them who have experience in making the call in this regard. Usually if somebody's inexperienced, they have somebody that's experienced. And usually you could couple them and they could work together. Well, in this particular instance, you've got two relatively inexperienced individuals. And oh, by the way, who's recruiting for you now? Because Magic went and got LeBron, but can Magic and LeBron get anybody else that doesn't require a trade? All of these kind of things are the kind of things that I'm looking at. And I'm saying if you don't know definitively that you could go out there in free agency and you've got somebody coming to your stable, why would you give up young talent like a Zubac? Why would you give up young talent like a Randall? Why would you hold on so desperately to Brandon Ingram? Even though I like Brandon Ingram, the question is, does he fit with LeBron in terms of style of play?
Well, Stephen A., I already answered the question. They're desperate, and desperate times demand desperate measures. When it comes to your question about Brandon Ingram, from what I understand, they included Brandon Ingram in their pitch for Anthony Davis. Who else will they be willing to try to trade Brandon Ingram for in the offseason? We'll find out. Maybe a Bradley Beal.
These are all questions.
But okay, look, first of all, let's take it one at a time. I don't understand the Zubac trade. I didn't like it at the time. I don't know why they did it. I think that was ill-conceived. The D'Angelo Russell trade I already mentioned. He had to get out of a bad signing that predates him.
Beyond that, D'Angelo Russell was toxic in the locker room. He had to go.
Julius Randle, Stephen A. They had Ingram. They had Kuzma.
Take a quick second. Fix your mic, okay? You're going to get that.
Well done, Will.
Stephen A., I want you to think about this while he gets it on, and you can answer this as well, okay?
It's done.
I know you got your three-point plan laid out, and I want you to get to it. You just put this in your back pocket. You give him a pass. Does LeBron?
That's what it'll come down to. But I think the answer is yes. Because as I was saying, the D'Angelo Russell trade got to get out of the Mozgov deal, okay. The Zubac...
LeBron is not going to give Magic Johnson a pass. What he'll do is he'll smile in Magic's face, shake his hand, but behind the scenes, he's having Rich Paul and Maverick Carter reach out to their guys in the media, on the internet, on TV, and make subtle hints that Magic Johnson and his bad decisions are the reason why the Lakers struggle so much this season and not the machinations of LeBron James.
Zubac thing, it's probably a salary situation. That's a bad idea. I think that's a good young talent. Keep him. Julius Randle, for example, was a guy that there was a lot of division about throughout the league, Stephen A., whether you pay that guy or not, particularly on a team with other forwards who they may have felt were more promising.
Yeah, the Lakers at one point had so many forwards, it was not even funny. Not only did they have the forwards that they currently have this season, minus LeBron James, of course, they also had Julius Randle, and they also had the kid out there with Cleveland now, Larry Nance Jr.
Kuzma, for example, shoots it better from the outside than Randle. With LeBron James, that probably works better. Ingram was
right, but Kuzma's still not a good long-range shooter.
Was considered a higher-end prospect than Randle, more versatile, in fact, and probably most GMs would have also taken Ingram over Randle. So with LeBron, how many forwards do you have? That's one. And KCP is a Rich Paul client. It seemed pretty clear that the reason he was getting the contracts was actually, or at least it appeared from the outside, to keep LeBron happy.
To keep Rich Paul happy, and I agree, I concur.
First of all, I did not say they should not have gave him the contract. What I said is that they gave him the contract and then they didn't utilize him. That's what
Well, who's the they? You must be talking about Luke Walton, because Magic Johnson is not the one developing the rotations.
What I said. That's what I said about KCP. That's number one. Number two, in terms of Julius Randle, the only reason I brought up Julius Randle is because the money that he would have settled for to stay in LA, you gave to Rondo. So
allegedly, that's the money that he would have settled for.
So it wasn't about the money. It's about who you elected to give it to.
So it's about the money, Stephen A. Smith. At the end of the day, they did not believe that Julius Randle fit in well with the future of their franchise. And how well would Randle have been able to play with LeBron James? Who knows? He's not a stretch four. I think that he actually fits in much better with the New Orleans Pelicans. The problem is that their so-called best player, Anthony Davis, was unwilling to view Randle for what he was, that being a possible replacement for DeMarcus Cousins. Does his game match DeMarcus's? No, but Randle is that physical aspect that they could use down low.
And I'm making the case that on this particular team, because I know that Rondo, particularly come playoff time, is a stellar point guard. But the point is that considering this roster and what you were going to need, why would you not give Julius Randle the money that you gave to Rondo?
Because you have too many forwards and you need a point guard that you'd like Lonzo Ball to study under, and Rondo seemed the ideal guy.
Agreed.
Okay.
On a one-year deal?
To me that doesn't work. That doesn't hold mustard based on what we've seen, because clearly you don't have people to make shots outside, so you need somebody that can bang inside.
I do think in the end the question will be, you give him a pass, Stephen A., you do not. Does LeBron give this first year a pass? All right.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. I'm not quite sure how you could ask that question. Once you make the linkages between Dave McMenamin and LeBron James, you know from the get-go, or at least you should, that they put the code red on Magic Johnson. I don't think that Magic is much longer for that position in the front office. One of them is going to have to go. When I say one of them is going to have to go, I'm talking about either Magic Johnson or LeBron James, because LeBron is not going to allow Magic and Rob Pelinka to sully his legacy by not being able to attain free agents and having LeBron out there in LA putting up 27, 8, and 8 and not making the playoffs. So somebody has to be the fall guy. It's going to be Magic, especially if he's unable to sign a major free agent in the offseason. So peace.